Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It is me again, the Chameleon Girl Gina. And tonight I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how I make my dump chili. Now this is about a 30-minute recipe, and that includes the cooking, prep. There's nothing to really prep, but anyway, the cooking time, including browning your hamburger, it's about 30 minutes, so it's a quick meal. And so the first thing you want to start out with is your choice of ground meat. Now, I personally prefer ground beef, and I like to get a more lean ground beef. So I like to use, you can use anywhere between 2 to 3 pounds. Tonight I'll probably use a little over 2 pounds, maybe even 3, depending on when I put it in my pot. So anyway, this recipe is going to call for that much meat, between 2 and 3 pounds. And then you want to definitely have some chili powder, because this will be one of your main ingredients. You want to have some onion powder, some garlic salt. I like to use accent, so we're going to be putting some accent in there. A couple of bouillon cubes, this is optional, and so is the accent, guys. And then there's a lot of optional things in this recipe, just to let you guys know. This is the type of chili recipe that you should be, what you can find in your cabinets is what you're probably going to want to use, okay? And so then you're going to use, I like a lot of beans, so I'm going for 2 cans of chili beans, which is just pinto beans basically. But I like the Bush's brand better, because they have a good color to them and a better flavor than what I have found in some other beans. And then I'm going to use some diced tomatoes, 1 can. And I am also going to use another optional ingredient, which is hot and spicy chili. I just like this, it just enhances the flavor. If you don't have the hot and spicy chili, feel free to substitute with I believe it's a 12-ounce can of refried beans, okay? And during the cooking process tonight, I'm going to show you guys what step to add those in. So the first thing that we're going to do is begin to brown our ground beef. Okay, so now as we begin to brown our hamburger, we just want to give it that good chopping, to make sure it's not going to be like chunks or balls of hamburger meat, because I cannot stand that when that happens. Now what I did for my hamburger, I used between 93 and 7. As far as the fat content, it's only 7% fat. And the reason why I used such a little amount of fat is because I'm not going to drain it. But as I just let it begin to brown, and I go ahead and I flip it, at this point I want to go ahead and I want to add in some chili powder. Okay, now I'm going to do a lot of chili powder, so I want to take the lid off so that I can add about 1.5 tablespoons. And the main reason why I want that much chili powder is for color. Now the next thing, and the reason why I want to add it on when that meat is still partially raw, is because it'll cook right down into the meat, okay? And the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of accent, and this is also a 2-taste recipe. It's about 2 teaspoons of accent and a bunch of chili powder, 2 tablespoons. And then the next thing I'm going to add is a little onion powder, about one, I'm going to do 1.5 teaspoons of onion powder. Okay. And the next thing I'm going to add in is some garlic salt. And then we're just going to go ahead and let that continue. So then we're going to go ahead and let that continue to brown, and I will be right back. Okay guys, so now at this point we're going to, this is an ingredient that I did not mention just because it's not required, but it gives your chili a real red color. And I like it more so for that than the flavor. So I take a pack of this chili mix, but in this case I'm going to add 2 because I'm working with like, you know, between 2 and 3 pounds of ground beef. And I'm just going to open that up. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and pour this into my chili. And at this point, the fun part begins because we're going to dump all the rest of the ingredients and let it simmer between 5 to 10 minutes, okay? So we're going to get going and get that done right now. So we're just going to dump those in quickly. And then you will need to make sure that you have some water handy, approximately 3-4 cups of water, okay? And so I'm going to dump the first can of chili beans in. Then I'll probably add a little swig of water just to get all that out of there, possibly, I don't know. Then I'm going to add the next can of chili beans, of course. Then I'm going to add the tomatoes. And at this point, we want to add in the water. I'm going for about 3 cups. I did 3 cups of water. We want to kind of give that just a little bit of a stir. And also those chili packets have some type of ingredient in there. I think it's like a little flour or cornstarch where it thickens them up. Now at this point, if you all were not going to add a chili brick, which I'm just going to let you guys see that once again. Usually I get the mild one of these, but today I just have the hot and spicy, which is not going to make a huge difference, but I'm just going to go ahead and dump that in as well. And after I dump that in, I'm going to kind of give it a little mush with my spatula, and you guys can see how red and pretty that is, hopefully, on film. So I did end up adding one more tablespoon of chili powder, by the way. So at this point, what you want to do is get you a spoon. Can you pass me a spoon, please? Just a little one. Because we're going to give it a taste, and we're just seeing how that flour tastes. And see, it's already pretty much, this is pretty much done, you would say, because every ingredient that I put in there is already done. So we're just going to give this a taste to see what flavors we want to add in there if we're missing anything. Okay, so this is missing something. So we're going to go in with some bouillon cubes. And we're going to put 3 bouillon cubes in there per pound. 1 cube per pound of beef. So if that kind of makes sense to you guys, can you open that for me? Open that for me, please. And I usually like the Weiler's brand because it is they just melt down faster. But I couldn't find any. So any kind of bouillon cubes or flavoring will be fine. And then we want to go back in with a little bit more onion powder. And see, this is at the point where you want whatever flavor that you're aiming to get, you want it now. You don't want to wait to the end and all that. Matter of fact, we're just going to take that off the top. Just throw some onion powder in there, a lot of it. It's about a tablespoon. We're going to add some more water, which made 4 cups of water now. And as you add the hot water, make sure that your water is pretty warm or hot, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a spoon and give it a stir. And so it'll be about 2 more minutes before those cubes melt. And then we will know if we need to add anything else. The reason why I added more onion powder is because onion balances garlic. It creates a balance in your cooking. So that's why I like onion powder. So we'll be right back. And so far, there's the color of it. We want to add a little more paprika. Paprika doesn't have a flavor. Feel free to add, as much paprika as you desire for color. So I'm going to add plenty of that. And so we'll be right back. So everybody, now our chili is done. So this is the point where we're going to just go ahead and take the lid off. And remember to make sure that you're stirring it up every 5 to 7 minutes, and cooking it for between up to 20-25 minutes. You can't cook it for a whole hour, but just make sure it's on simmer and that you continue to stir it for, every 5 to 7 minutes or so. So now as we go ahead and we're going to remove the lid from our chili and we're going to give it a stir. And if you want yours thicker than what mine is, what you can do is take a little, about 1/4 cup of water and mix a little flour in there, just 1 tablespoon of flour, or 1 tablespoon of flour. Whisk that up real good and pour it into your chili, and it's going to make it thicker. I'm not going to do that because my family likes theirs at the consistency that mine should be at after I stirred it, for however long. So we're going to look in the pot at this time. Okay, so now what we're going to do is just remove that lid, and it's pretty warm, so we're just going to go ahead and take that right off. I'm going to grab our spoon, and we're going to give it a stir. Now, the bottom of the chili is going to be much thicker. The chili started up here where that line is, right up here at the top, and it has cooked down. And so with that being said, we're just going to give it a stir. We can see that it's the consistency that we like, and that's we, meaning in my household. So it looks like we are good, and we are all done with our chili. And by the way, something that I did not add, but you can add, is some black pepper. Matter of fact, I think I'll add some black pepper right now. I'm just going to add a little bit, about half a teaspoon of black pepper, just for that little pepper flavor in there. I don't want it to be spicy though, because I have to consider that I have younger children and an elderly mother. Woo! Got burnt. Okay, so anyway, there's your finished chili. your finished pot of chili, and there's my consistency. See? And that is just thick enough. That is just right, just how we like it. Like I said, you can thicken it. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to thicken it. I want to show you guys how I'm going to thicken it. Just a little. And you can use cornstarch as well, but I'm going to use flour. And I'm just going to take a little dot of flour, like a tablespoon or less. But I just don't want a real thick chili. Now, tomorrow, my chili will have gotten really, really thick, you know, once it's in the refrigerator, to where when you go to warm it up, you may need to add a little water to it. So what I'm going to do right now is go ahead and thicken it for you guys. I don't want mine real thick, so this is about, it's just a very little dot of water. I'm just going to whisk that and make it real smooth, because you don't want lumpy chili. Just going to go ahead and just let that go right on in there. And then that'll thicken up my chili. I just want it a little bit thicker. Now, if you want it extra thick, then you're going to do about 2 tablespoons. And there we are. And that's as thick as I'm going to make my chili. But it's hearty, you know, as hearty and as rich. So there we have thickened it. And there your dump chili is now served. Okay, so thank you everybody for watching the dump chili recipe. And the recipe is very old, so I feel like, you know, by me giving it out, I feel like you guys mean a lot to me. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.